6 people are currently.
She is watching. Say hi.
Where is she?
She's at home.
She didn't want to get out of her bathroom and come to class.
She was hey, at least she's watching, right?
Thank you for watching.
We need to make this happen.
Okay. Okay.
Off you go. But you got to do it over there.
Oh, I have to do it.
You have to do this so people pay attention to you.
How do I got it? Yes. I don't know.
Ladies and gentlemen.
If anyone did not send the email list, here it is. Raise your hand.
Okay, so Maria and I are going to be doing homeworks and providing readings and printing things out. So there's 2 parts of this. The first thing is I'd like to encourage everyone to do them online and save the trees. And so if you've never done that, I've been doing my courses online, so it's really, really easy to do. You know, you just download them from the ACI course per class, and you copy it and then put it into Word. So it's really, really simple, and then you can just email that directly from your desktop to Maria or I. Okay? So that I encourage you. Otherwise, for this week, we had a little miscommunication, so we didn't get homeworks for next week printed out. So if you would prefer to print them out and bring them in next week. We do have some readings out there. Yeah, but let's really all try. Is there anybody that really, really wants to just print them out and do them on paper?
Yeah.
Three?
But I can do it myself.
3? No, it's
No,
okay.
let's do them here.
Let's just know. We want to serve you, but we want to encourage you also to, for those of us who are comfortable, to just do them on the computer.
I mean, if you do it on the computer, will you be giving it back to us so that we
Then we'll email them right back to you.
Oh, so they
It'll probably come faster because
they won't be, and they'll be graded that way.
Mm-hmm. You won't have a hard copy though, so you're right, unless you print it out yourself.
Right.
Can you print homework now?
But anyway.
I want to say that there are 13 or 12 readings out there not collated. They're 10 pages. So just as you leave, please take a reading.
Right.
Those who need them.
And homeworks are coming for today.
No.
They're printing
they're
them now.
printing them out. Okay.
So you got 5 printed copies roughly? Is that what it looked like?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question. In the second path of preparation, you mentioned the 4 stages of deepening understandings of happiness, intellectual understanding. Do we not go into that because we're going to go into it, or?
Yes and no. They have names. You know, so I think it's called like heat, great heat. I don't remember. It wasn't presented as part of this class material, but I don't think talking about them. I mean, this is not a cop out. Maybe it is. I don't think talking about them in a summary way will perhaps help much, simply because it takes hundreds of hours of listening and studying and contemplating to really get it, to get deeply into it. So, you know, we've had a lot of classes where we've talked about emptiness, and I've actually never heard a teaching on the specific delineation of the four levels or parts or steps within that path. And you know, I don't know if it's because we're just not there. But my personal feeling is that it will come as one studies and practices on one's own, you know. And I wouldn't be surprised if through one's own studies and meditation practice, one gets to a point where they're just like, oh, now I understand something I didn't understand before. And practice some more and meditate some more, and you get to a place where it's like, oh damn, now I get it. You know, and I think that is the nature of the realization. That is the nature of integration. Is simply getting it, you know, within oneself at a deeper level as a result of one's own practice. Practice meaning studying it intellectually and then cleaning oneself up primarily. You know, cleaning my own mind, cleaning my own afflictions, cleaning my own obscurations and obstacles such that I can perceive purity more readily and more clearly. So I think probably not a lot. Anyway, so the short answer is there's probably not a lot of value in talking about it. You know. I don't know, it's a short answer. Okay, two kinds of bodhicitta. Please say munsep. So this is the wish in the form of a prayer, right? The feeling. So what this means, though, in this instance, when we're talking about the path of seeing and real bodhicitta, the path of seeing, we're talking about the feeling you had, the feeling that one had at that moment, where one feels like they're going to devote the rest of their lives to helping all beings, right? I mean, at that moment, you know there are going to be future lives. You know how many there are. You know what they are. And you have some kind of emotion, right? Some kind of understanding and some kind of very clear knowledge that you're going to spend the rest of your lives devoted to others' benefit, right? And the scriptures they say it's like you're planning to take a trip. You know you're going to take a trip. You're planning to take a trip, right? So it's like that. You know, that's the wish for enlightenment in the form of a prayer, and it's while you're still seated on that holy ground from the initial experience of perceiving emptiness. You know, you've entered the path of seeing. You've had the direct experience of emptiness. You've come out of direct experience. You've come back down to this realm. You've had the follow-on realizations of the four Arya truths. You have had bodhicitta in your heart and your mind. So therefore, you've had the real experience of bodhicitta, right? So while you're still sitting there on that cushion, you know, you're having these feelings and these emotions about spending the rest of your days and the rest of your lives working for the benefit of others. And so that feeling is munsep, the wish for enlightenment in the form of a prayer in the context of real bodhicitta. Okay? You know, it's knowing that you're going to do it. You want to do it, and you know that you're going to do it. Okay? It's not some kind of dreamy, I sure hope someday I can do it and I wish I could do it. It's that you know for a fact that you're going to do it. Right? You want to do it, you will do it. Right? So, and then juksem, please say juksem.
Juksem.
That's the wish in the form of action. And that's just, you know, you get up off the cushion and it's your day-to-day behavior. Right? Your bodhicitta day-to-day as you're walking around. You go through all your days for 7 lifetimes, for example. And what are you going to be doing every day for 7 lifetimes? Well, that's juksem. You know, you're going to be spending every day actually working for other people. So it's the state of mind that you have as you're going through the day working for other people. And there's this natural, spontaneous way of being where you're just like, who can I help now? How can I help them? It's just the mind naturally looking, constantly searching for some way to help the people around you, right? Looking for those opportunities to help other people naturally. And having this natural attraction for doing something for everyone around you, whether it's the lousiest little, you know, let me sharpen your pencil for you, to some kind of great benefit that you're giving someone, right? Whether you're teaching them how to do it, which is the highest form of giving, right? It's like it's going from event to event that way, moment to moment, day to day, right? So it's like Master Shantideva, you know, in his biography. It's like, you know, he'll be, you know, going somewhere and he'll stop and he'll use his clairvoyance to tune in and say, you know, is there someone over in, you know, in Kham that needs help right now that I can go help? And which way should I go and what should I do to help the most people right now? You know? And so it's going through life that way. You know, what can I do at this moment to help the most number of people? What can I do today, or what can I do this month or this year or this lifetime to help as many people as possible? Right? And just naturally spending your entire life that way, prioritizing what it is one is going to do to help the most numbers of people, be of the highest benefit to the most numbers of people. You know, and we're at that level. We have to choose between good deeds, which is the higher of 2 good deeds. You know, there are a lot of good deeds we can engage in, and the rule of thumb is to always go for the higher good deed, right? To benefit more people in a higher way. So so that's called Juksa, right? So now technically, nowadays there's a ceremony that we do for these two things, for Munsan and Juksen. There's a ceremony where we commit to bodhicitta in the form of a wish for people who are more normal, ordinary people, you might say, right? And it plants a seed in your mind stream. Basically, we have a ceremony where we commit ourselves to the idea of being a bodhisattva. You know, you have this ceremony, and you say, you know, I get down on one knee, and you say, I swear before all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas that I aspire to be to live my life to help everyone around me. And, you know, I'm aspiring to do that, and I aspire to be able to benefit everyone all the time. Well, so is that true bodhicitta? No, I mean, it's an aspiration, right? And we forget about it 10 minutes later, right? Mostly. And, but, I mean, what does it do? It's planting karmic seeds. You know, taking this, engaging in this ceremony, and taking setting the intention to become a bodhisattva, to wish to become a bodhisattva, plant seeds within one's mind stream, collects karma, right? And so collecting those karmic seeds is what will ripen into the actual experience later, right? To have the actual experience of bodhicitta, the real experience of bodhicitta, one has to collect the karmic seeds which will mature and grow and eventually flower and ripen into the result. So engaging in this ceremony in the form of a prayer plants seeds in the mind stream that will one day ripen into the actual experience. And then there are commitments that we could take to engage actively as a bodhisattva, right? Which is so we can take vows in the form of an aspiration, or we can take vows to actually engage in bodhisattva activities, right? And so, and to do that, there's a ceremony we engage in where we commit to, we take 64 different commitments. There are 64 root vows, 64 different commitments we make in a ceremony. And, you know, things like I'm not going to tear other people down and praise myself. You know, I'm not going to put other people down so that I can look good. You know, I won't praise myself and put others down. Or, you know, I'll never fail to give people whatever help they need in any circumstance. You know, whether it's physical or spiritual, right? Committing ourselves to do things like that. And that's the flavor of those commitments and those vows, is to always be actively trying to engage with everyone around us in some kind of virtuous and positive and supportive way, right? So we commit to do that, and that's the flavor of the Bodhisattva vows. And then we also commit to 6 kinds of activities, which are the activities of Bodhisattva called the 6 perfections. Committing to do certain things. So that's the second part of bodhicitta. And the first part we're committing to the ideal, and the second part we're committing to, you know, certain deeds and behaviors and ways of living, right? So committing ourselves to helping people for the rest of our life. And so those 2 divisions are on the homework. So the idea of this class is to get excited about bodhicitta, you know. It's supposed to, whenever we go into a topic, it's like, okay, we'll tell you the lineage, and then we'll give you the hot selling points, you know, why you really want this. It's like a car salesman, I guess, like, it's a great color red, you know, look at those lines, you know, whatever, you know.
And it's free.
Yeah, well, in this case it's free, right? Not like yeah. They don't even mention that, do they? It's not on the sales list, we should put that in there, right? Yeah. So, I mean, the idea is if you're able to reach a state, you know, of real bodhicitta, it has certain effects on your mind stream, right? It radically changes who you are. And, you know, we talked in the first class about all these different kinds of sufferings, right? All the forces at work to destroy our lives. And they're not obvious, right? They're subtle. These are subtle forces that we can't see, these karmic ripenings. And, you know, they're going to rip out everything nice that we have. And, you know, we may have a few years where things go well and we can try to ride it for a while, but it catches up with us, you know, and there's no escape. It's inevitable. So these same forces are making us get old, they're making us sick, and, you know, if we don't feel it yet, we will. You know, getting old is no fun. So there are causes which make us grow old. There are causes which lead to our death and force us to die, you know. And these causes are tearing down our body and destroying our body as we go through life. And it's really just a question of, do we get hit by a car first, or do we get cut up in an operating room table, or do the forces that compose our own body destroy us? In the Tibetan system, the Tibetan medical system, different organs are in competition with each other. Certain organs produce heat, certain organs cool the body, certain organs, anyway. And so, you have the organs which are trying to cool the body competing with the organs which are trying to heat the body, and one or the other dominates. One or the other becomes weaker, and then, is overpowered, and the body dies. So, if we live long enough, our own body will kill us. And it's just a question of what gets us in the end, really. So, the body will kill itself given enough time if something else doesn't. And that's the condition we're in. That's our state. So, the forces that are running that and the energies that are running that have been with us since we were born, and they're driving our life, right? And sooner or later they're gonna kill us, and every good thing we have is going to be destroyed and ripped away from us. And it's karma, karmic imprints. These forces, they are in our own mind, and they're in our mind stream. And these karmic imprints are the things which are driving our life and causing us to experience our lives in the way that we do. So, what's a karmic imprint? I mean, basically, if you do something nice or you do something unpleasant, whether you say something or think something or do something, good or bad, it imprints upon one's mind stream. It makes an impression upon one's mind stream. It puts a very distinct impression on the mind stream, which stays there. And there's a course on karma, and we can study it, and we have, and we're not going to go into it in detail now. But the idea is we perceive ourselves being hurtful, and that imprints the mind in a certain way, which stays in the mind and expands in the mind, and that creates karma, and that karma stays in the mind and replicates and expands until it brings its result. And in an instant we have how many karmas? 64 karmas in an instant, in a finger snap, right? So the movement of the mind is raw karma, and we collect 64 karmas in the flicker of a mind. So everything that we think or say or do is creating vast amounts of karma, and each one of those brings its own result. All the imprints that are being placed on our mind will ripen and bring a result, and they flower, and they create our perception of our world. There are 64 perceptual events happening in an instant, right? And if you watch television, there are 60 frames per second going by on film to make a movie look real. And so it's the same thing in our life, It's very interesting that the Tibetans, for meditating, came up with the number of 64 karmic imprints in a second. And so these karmic seeds, these discrete karmic seeds which we're collecting, are ripening as a perceptual event. And we can't see it with an eye. There's a metaphor they use, or an example they use in Madhyamika. They say, for example, if you take flower petals and you stack them up and you put them on a target for an arrow, and then you shoot an arrow at the flower petals, and the arrow goes through the center of the flower petals, the stack of the flower petals, it happens in an instant. You don't see the arrow go through each flower petal one by one. All you see is that the arrow has pierced all the flower petals, right? And so they say it's the same thing with your perception. You can understand logically that the arrow goes through the first flower petal, and then the second, and then the third, and then the fourth, all the way through the entire stack, and it happens in an instant, too fast for you to see, right? And so karmic ripening is exactly the same. We have a perceptual event flower and ripen in our mind, and then another one, and then another one, and these perceptual events are happening so quickly that it looks like real life, and it is real life, and it's just exactly the same as the frames of a movie. The individual frames of a movie go by fast enough to look like real moving people and not little small stills, right? And so it's the same way with our karma. We can understand it, but we can't perceive it directly. We can understand logically that we are having countless discrete perceptual events occurring very fast, which is a stream of perception, which is a stream of awareness, and which is our reality, and which is our life. Where do those perceptual, discrete, individual perceptual events come from? Those are the karmic imprints. Those are the imprints, the seeds ripening in our mind. 64, for instance. Every time we have a thought, every time the mind moves, every time we say something, every time we do something, 64 imprints placed upon the mind. In a second, guess what? They're all there. They stay until they flower and ripen and bring the result. And when they flower and ripen and bring the result, that is our movie, the movie of our life. That is the perception of our life. That is the perception of our world, right? And they're going off so fast and at such a smooth rate that we simply have the impression of our life. We don't have the impression of discrete individual karmic seeds ripening. We have the perception of a continuous smooth movie and reality, right? So, everybody in this room, according to Buddhism, did some incredible virtues in the past to be able to be having the perception of this room surrounded by holy things, and to be hearing holy conversation, and to be experiencing these awareness of these holy ideas. And this past karma forces us to perceive these things. And understanding that it's forced upon us is very important, right? I mean, we can't say, I'd rather be seeing something else while I'm sitting in this room. It is our valid reality and perception. There is no other choice. And it's very obvious to us when we're sick. You got a toothache or food poisoning or whatever. You could say all day long, I don't want to be feeling this. It doesn't change it. We can't just will it to change. We can't just wish it to change. Our perceptions are forced upon us, and we know that, right? So perceptions are forced on us by these events going off in the mind at a certain rate of ripenings per second. And it looks like life, and we call it life, and it is our life, right? So thoughts are the same way, We are aware of our own thoughts. We are perceiving our own thoughts, right? We are hearing our own thoughts, Imprints ripening in a stream, And the thinker of the thoughts, right? It's going off in a smooth flow, and so the thinker, the thoughts, the awareness of those things, it's all the ripening of karmic imprints, things that we did in the past. So we have to study the process and the laws around that process and behind that process, and then you can catch it happening and you can see it happening. And once we understand and know that our life is a series of imprints ripening, once we understand that our life is a series of film frames going by, and the film frames, the source of the film frames is our mind. The imprints, the impulses arising in our mind, the energetic impulses, the karmic seeds ripening in our mind. Once we recognize that, it's important that we start to work with it, and we say, look, if my entire reality and my entire world is simply is the experience of what's arising in my mind, right? Then I have to be acutely aware of what I'm putting into my mind. I have to be extremely careful about the imprints placed upon my mind, because that will become my future reality, my future experience, right? And so we need to start to take particular care to clean out any negativity which is in our mind, and any negative seeds and imprints which are in our mind, to get rid of those negative frames before they ripen as our reality, right? And basically we fill up our mind with a lot of these little lousy imprints. If we think for a few minutes about let me buy someone a sandwich, and so we spend a minute or two buying someone a sandwich and giving them a sandwich, and so then we have this imprint placed upon our mind stream, and eventually those seeds flower into the experience of us perceiving ourselves having a sandwich. And the sandwich arises, and we get it, and we put it to our lips, and we feel it, and we taste it, and we chew it, and we swallow it, and it's our reality, and it's our life. And it lasts for 5 minutes, and then it's gone. Well, why did it only last 5 minutes? Because we only thought about giving someone else a sandwich for a brief time, for a minute or two, or whatever. And so we had the experience of a sandwich for 5 minutes, and then it's done, and then it's gone. And that's another quality of these karmic seeds and imprints, is they wear out. They have an energy. it flowers, it ripens, it brings its result and its experience, and then the energy is used up and consumed and finished. And so it's another important thing to understand about it. We have those ripenings because the imprints are not permanent. They're consumed. They flower and they're consumed. So if we understand these things, the natural next step is to set up our future in the way we want it to occur. And that's why we talk about these things, and that's the point of these things, is to say, look, how do I plant the right imprints to have the right reality arise in the future? What imprints do I need to plant to have a life of happiness and paradise and bliss and enlightenment? What are the imprints which will bring that outcome? What do I need to put into my mind? What picture frames do I need to create on my film to have the experience of the movie being paradise? And there are certain imprints that we have to purposely and consciously plant. And we have to plant them in a big way and in a powerful way so that they ripen big and so that they ripen quickly and bring their result quickly, right? And so we study how to accelerate imprints, how to create strong imprints, powerful imprints. And Holy Geshe Michael was teaching about that at Pure Yoga when he was in town the other week. He was talking about a karmic path, a complete karmic path, and how one collects a powerful, complete karma that brings big results. So, but there are certain methods to accelerate the growth of the karmas that we plant. Once we collect these karmic seeds, once we imprint these things upon our mind, then there are methods that we can use to accelerate the ripening of the seeds to bring the result faster. Right? There are methods for eliminating the old bad imprints that we have, and the idea is to do all this quite consciously, right? To design our future and to create our future in a conscious way. So our spiritual path and practice is really a form of karmic engineering. Spiritually engineering the future that we want to have. So, and sometimes there are obstacles. Sometimes the seeds that we have already planted in our mind make it very difficult for us to succeed. We may have karmic seeds that we've collected in the past where we don't have the capacity, some of the capacities that we need, right? May not be capable of some kind of faith, may not be capable of some kind of devotion, which are important elements to practice and accelerate the ripening of karmic seeds. And we'll talk about it, but it's one of the selling points of Master Shantideva's text is to study the imprints that you're going to put in your mind. This is the sales pitch, and Master Shantideva is telling us, he's saying, look, why do you want to be a bodhisattva? What's the point of being a bodhisattva? Well, I ask you, what kind of imprints would you need to put in your mind stream to have the experience of a paradise? What does a paradise look like? What do you think? People are treating you how? Very well, right? In paradise, everybody's super nice, right? All the time, without exception, right? So, what would you need to do, and what would I need to do to create that reality karmically?
Be super nice.
Super nice all the time.
Paradise.
To who?
To everyone.
To everybody, right? So this is one of Master Shantideva's big selling points. It's like, look, this is the karmic cause for your paradise. Being a bodhisattva is the karmic cause to attain paradise, right? I mean, if you want to create an entire world of happiness and bliss, then you have to collect those causes and plant those seeds, right? So, if you give money, you get rich. If you have patience, you'll be attractive. But, what's the ultimate imprint? Do you want to collect imprints for, a better sandwich? Or, a bigger bank account? Or do you want to collect imprints for, ultimate paradise? And so that's our task and that's our goal is to be karmically engineering, the ultimate blissful paradise for all time. Something which is never going to end and something which is never going to wear out. And so what's the imprint that creates that? It's this, it's bodhicitta. So from the point of view of the quality and the scope the karmic seeds, they're the bodhicitta provides the perfect karmic seeds to attain paradise. You see? And so it's not even called karma anymore. It's called the two collections, collecting the two in collections. And they're the perfect imprints to create our paradise, karmically. So, because the scope of bodhicitta is how big? It's infinite. It's everybody. Every being everywhere, right? I mean, can we help an infinite number of beings right now? No, I can't even help myself. Are you kidding me? It's like, it's hard enough just to take care of me, right? So, we have to start with the people around us. I mean, including ourselves, right? So, particularly the people that we live with and we're next to on a regular basis, the people we work with, people in our family, our peers, right? I mean, for us, they are all sentient beings. We say, oh, I'm a bodhisattva, I'm going to benefit all sentient beings, and they're over in Pluto somewhere, so I don't have to try too hard right now, But in fact, the people who you are around all day long are the sentient beings that you have to be applying yourself to, right? So they're it. They are all sentient beings for you. They represent all sentient beings for you. So if you're being a schmuck to the person you're closest to, then you're being a schmuck to all sentient beings. I mean, it's kind of what it boils down to. Sorry. Present company included. So, I mean, bodhicitta has to be directed to the people around you from the beginning. And then you can start to expand it out to the wider circle. But it's delusional to think, I'll just shit on the people around me and be nice to the people who are far away, which is mostly our habit, right? Not sadly, right? Anyway, I mean, look, I'm going to help everyone in the universe is a great intellectual exercise, and it does collect good imprints, but it's not the point. What happens if we leave out? There's inevitably somebody that we really don't like, and it's really a pain, right? That we leave out. What happens if we leave that person out from our bodhisattva intention, right? Not them, They're too much of a hassle. They're too much of a pain. They're too much of a problem, right? So what happens if you leave them out, right? It's not real bodhicitta, right? It's just like, I'll be nice to the people I want to be nice to. The ones I don't like, no. Forget about it. So, but if you understand what a Buddha paradise is like, right? Then you have to understand that every single detail, of every single perception is a karmic ripening. So the perception of the fan blades turning in a Buddha paradise is blissful. The perception of every being in a Buddha paradise is blissful. Every sound is blissful. Every single perceptual input on every level is a source of great bliss, no matter what it is. Going to the, I don't know if they go to the bathroom. Going to the bathroom is blissful. At least they go to the bathroom. I don't know. I guess.
Blissful now.
Anyway, every single perception is total bliss. So, if you imagine the most pleasant experience you've ever had in this life, whatever the best peak experience is, which I won't speculate about. We had that for whatever very short period of time. Imagine that being the experience we have, with every sense and everything we come in contact with all the time, right? Everything we perceive on every level, right? So, multiply it times everything you perceive, right? So, the stripes on Hector's shirt, right? The details on his tie. Everyone gives you the feeling all the time of bliss, right? And if you leave one person out, then what happens? Then one of the stripes doesn't give you any bliss. Right? And you don't have a Buddha paradise. I was actually reading what Geshe Michael said 15 years ago.
Really?
Yeah, he said the stripes on Hector's shirt, the details of the design on his tie. Each one gives me that feeling all the time. And if you leave one person out, one stripe won't what?
You need to change your wardrobe.
Well, he did take his tie off.
Well, thank you.
So this is actually I think Hector. This is the class where Hector emigrated to America, and he attended his first class in person with Geshe Michael for this class. Come full circle.
Oh.
Okay. So anyway, those are the selling points for bodhicitta. It says you accomplish all your desires and all your wishes. And that includes all the ordinary, mundane, lousy, short-term desires. I want a great relationship. I want more money. I want a happy life. Including staying out of the hells in the next life and becoming enlightened. So the text says very clearly that they're not exclusive and they're not contradictory. Don't think that because we have a bodhisattva ideal that life is going to suck in a mundane, ordinary way. It's like, oh, I'm going to be a bodhisattva and I'm going to work to help all beings, but life will be shit while I'm doing it, and I guess I'll just have to bite the bullet and grit my teeth and get through it. It's not like that. They say, no, that's the wrong way of thinking. That's completely upside down. It doesn't work that way, and it's a problem to think like that. It's the case that engaging in bodhisattva activities brings you everything on every level, all along the way, all the way up to the ultimate result, and we need to understand that and be aware of that. So, not contradictory at all. Okay, and you're not allowed as a bodhisattva to think small. If you're a bodhisattva, you're not allowed to think like, oh, I just want a cup of coffee, I just want a better house, I just want a better apartment. You have to think, I want ultimate goals, I want ultimate happiness, I want everyone to be happy, I want everyone to have these things. So, to limit our vision of happiness to just ourselves is actually very counterproductive and destructive and small for a bodhisattva. And it's a great danger for a bodhisattva, So we have to, our goals have to encompass a much broader scope to say, yeah, I want these things and I want everyone to have these things. Nothing wrong with wanting a nice house, nothing wrong with me wanting a bank account. I do. I want all the great, I want all the security and stability and comfort and the works, And I want everyone else to have it too. So make sure you don't leave off the, I want everyone else to have it too. It's not the case that you should stop aspiring to those things yourself. It's the case that you should always bring everyone along with you and tag them along and not forget about them, right? So, in Master Shantideva, they point out if your vision is limited, then the result's going to be limited, right? If I'm just thinking, oh, I want a bigger house, well, it's not the same as you want everyone to have a bigger house, right? You get a vastly better outcome by approaching it that way. So Master Shantideva makes the point, look, if all you care about is your own happiness, what's still the best thing to do? Look after everybody else. It's still the smartest thing to do, the best thing to do is to work for everyone else's happiness even if you only care about your own happiness. And he makes the point, you'll never reach any kind of happiness in your life if you don't work for other people. It's impossible. You can't do it. Any kind of significant imprint is collected in relation to other people. Whether it's great evil or great good, it has to be done in relation to other people. You stub your toe on a rock and you curse and you scream, it's a small negative karma, or something like that. Mainly significant karmas are collected in relation to other people. So you mainly can't do real goodness without doing it in relation to other people. And so the selling point for bodhicitta is if you want to transform your life, being a bodhisattva is the best way to do it. You take this body which is doomed and you turn it into something else, which is a great pleasure and which will bring you to paradise. So transform this body into another body before you die. And you have to get bodhicitta to accelerate that, and you have to engage in the secret teachings to accelerate that. The secret teachings are a process of how to accelerate all of these principles to get the results before you die. But you've got to have bodhicitta. It can't happen without bodhicitta. Not possible to engage in secret teachings without bodhicitta. So, given a choice between dying as an ordinary schmuck and transforming one's body and mind into another type of existence before you die, then, what's it going to be, right? So, I think that's it, Master Shantideva, look, they called Master Shantideva Mr. Three Thoughts, right? Did they know if he was a realized being? Obviously not. They thought he was something else. Would you see the person next to you transforming their body and their mind? Would you see the Dalai Lama, becoming an enlightened being if he were transforming himself into an enlightened being? No, because I haven't collected the karma to perceive it. It's not coming from the Dalai Lama. It's coming from me. And so, as we evolve in our own practice, as my mind becomes purer, as I become cleaner, then I begin to see holy beings. I begin to experience pure beings, right? I have this frustrating thing with money. It's like, I keep meeting rich people, It's like, they're like, oh, come hang out at my house. I'm like, wow, this is a really good house. This is really nice. And I'm just like, damn, I got the karma to hang out in this palace for a while. How come I have the karma to just have it as my own? It's like that with holy beings too, It's like you start to meet Lingasha Michael, Aryas, people who are like, oh wow, having this realization of this very high level of, this ultimate practice, and I'm going like, wow, that's pretty cool karma I have to hear this person talking about that, and it's like, how come I'm hearing them talk about it? You know, I sing it myself, right? But this is the nature of it. As one's own practice improves, and as one cleans up oneself, one begins to perceive it around oneself. You know, and it begins to become apparent and evident around oneself. And so, you know, if you see Geshe Michael or other beings with high realizations, it says something about where you are, as much or more than it says about where they are, right? So it's quite possible that the people around you have already attained some kind of high state, and you know, we just can't see it because we're not there, and we're not clean enough. And when we become pure enough and clean enough, we'll be able to perceive it, you know, from that perspective. Last thing I want to say, and I'll pick up with this next week, is there's this thing happening called a 3-year retreat over in Arizona, and there's a lady there, Vilma Staiano. You can't see her picture, it's a bad picture, but there she is. Geshe Michael asked that people or groups adopt various 3-year retreats to sort of be a guardian angel for them. These people are trying to do the things we're talking about to attain real bodhicitta and direct perception of emptiness. And they need our help and our support in that they've given up their jobs and their homes, and they're living on their savings or on the kindness of others to, you know, to get through 3 years of intense practice in solitude and stress and difficulty to try to gain these high spiritual realizations. So they've asked that the 3 jewels adopt Vilma as the 3-year retreatant and to be the guardian angel for Vilma's 3-year retreat. And Vilma and I started actually at the same class, at the exact same day with Geshe Michael. We showed up at the one class in someone's apartment one night, and we were like, "Oh, hi, I'm new. Oh, hi, I'm new." And Vilma's wonderful. I think she's really fantastic. She's a really solid, grounded person, and she's a beautiful practitioner and a beautiful teacher. And I personally feel responsible to help her be able to complete her retreat. And I would like to ask all of you and the 3 jewels to help her complete her retreat. And the main thing that she's short of is money to buy food and continue her retreat. And it's not a lot. They have a $1 a day program, and all it needs is something like 10 people to do $1 a day, or 12 people to do $1 a day to make up her shortfall for food. So, I mean, there's 30 people here, so all we need is 30 cents a day. So I would like to ask everyone here to pledge 30 cents a day, or $1 a day, or whatever you want. It's less than a cup of coffee. I mean, hopefully you can commit to less than the cup of coffee to help someone do a deep, profound retreat and work in a serious, concerted way to reach enlightenment. So next week, they have a website, and you got to enter it in a certain way, and you got to specify the retreat and cabin number, and it's like I have to figure it out. But so next week we'll pick up, and I would like to ask. I'll pass a piece of paper around, just ask you to put your name and email number on it, and then I'll ask somebody to contact you to get the information entered the correct way into the website. And I do this for free, and Vilma's my compatriot from long ago, and I would like to help her and support her, and I think it's the right thing to do. So hopefully everyone will join me in supporting Vilma. It won't take very much. So let's try to do that, please. All right? Okay.
Sashi Puki Jishin Metokchan Rirang Shin Degambadi Sangye Shindu Mite Vivargi Drokun Namda Shinla Chibasho Hidam Guru Ratnamandala Kamninyatayami Gawadi Gawabhu Sunam Yashe Saksokshin Sunam Yashe Vajin Hui Rampa Bunito Pasho.
Please see the holy being at your crown become brighter, smaller, glowing in light, until they reach the size of a small orb of light, and they enter into your heart, merging with your heart, blessing your subtle mind stream, giving you their blessings and realizations of bodhicitta, eliminating obstacles to perceiving emptiness. And by the power of the goodness that we've done here this evening, may we quickly attain a state of path of seeing and traverse to the path of no more learning quickly in this life.
Thank you for teaching.
Thank you. My pleasure.